Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Another day, another dollar. Figure I'd come in here tonight since I got some time. Got this Ranger gave to me. Pretty nice little truck. It's a 5-speed truck. I'm gonna teach y'all how to do a clutch on it. Pretty simple. It ain't bad. It's pretty easy, especially being a 4-cylinder like it is with the 5-speed in it. First thing you gotta do is get up inside. There's 2 bolts right there next to the shifter. They're Phillips heads. Right in the boot. Let me get a Phillips head real quick. All right down here is the 2 Phillips heads. You want to go through to pull those out, and that way I can move this around. Once you have the shifter up off of it, once you have the cover off of it, then I come in here and you take this right here, you'll take this bolt loose, this nut, and you'll knock this thing over because this thing has it's kind of like a press fit kind of deal. As it pushes in, it locks itself in on it. So let's take this loose real quick and knock it out. Once you take a 17 or 11/16 and you take this loose, you want to get out here where the threads are about even across it. Take your hammer, knock that through. You'll see right here what I was talking about. It's this thing right here. It's a press pin, and as it goes in, it pulls itself wider, and that allows you to pull the shifter off of it. Once you get the shifter off of it, I'm going to take these Phillips heads loose. That way I don't tear this boot when I move the transmission. When I pull the bell housing bolts loose, I don't want to tear it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take those 4 Phillips heads out. Let me remove those and we'll be on to the next step. Alright, now we got it removed. Now we can drop the transmission down and slide it back. So let's go ahead and put the lift, put it up in there. Got my safety jacks underneath it now. So these right here are 12mm 12 points. Let me find me a socket real quick and knock it loose. Now I got my bolts loose. A couple good whacks with a hammer to knock it loose. Next, before we can pull the crossmember or anything, we're going to have to start taking these bolts out. These are 13mm, or you can use a 1/2 inch. These come in from here. The other ones come in from the side, and you got 2 up top that go in this direction. So I'm going to take my swivel, start knocking out the ones I can, and getting a wrench on the other ones. So now I pulled the bolts out. Sorry about the fan, it is hot in here. Got the 4 bolts, then pulled that bolt. I still got the other 2 bolts to pull up top up there and 1 bolt here. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull my 3 bolts from my starter. They come here, there, and there. They all come from this direction. So let me get them out so that way I can get a hold of that bolt right there easily, and then I'll do the top 2. All right, now so I pulled my 2 here, 1 there, 2 up top, 1 there, 3 here. That's all my bell bolts so it can slide back. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to spin these out, which look like, well, there's probably 13s too. Yeah, 13s there. And I'm going to pull this off because I need to just go on and pull that bolt right there out so this right here can flip down. So I think those are 18s if I'm not mistaken. I'll let you know in a minute once I check it, but I'm pretty sure those are 18s. So I'm going to spin these 13s out on both sides. That looks like maybe a 15 or it's probably a 5/8. Let me go and get my tools right. All right, I went ahead and pulled those 13s out. I pulled my 11/16 here, and I pulled these here, the 2 here. Before you pull the last bolt here, you put your jack on this transmission. I mean, it'll hang there, but it's better off to have a jack on it. So let me put a jack on. I'll pull this out. I'll pull the cross member out of it, and I knock that bolt loose. Then I can start unplugging wiring harness and slide it back. All right, cross members out. I pulled the 1 3/4 bolt right here. That way that would come off. We just let it hang right here. So now we got to come up here and release this clutch. You see this piece of plastic right here? I'm going to push in. I'm going to take a flathead and I'm going to shove in on that as I push in on the line here. I'm going to push in on the line, push in on that, and then I'll pull the line back out. That'll release my slave cylinder line right here. And now I come up here and I take these. I take a little screwdriver and get underneath it, and I unplug that like that, and I'll start unplugging this harness up in here, working it up and down. So let me get it loose real quick. I had told y'all wrong, there was 1 more bolt right here that comes sideways. So I got my line unhooked. As you can tell, see them little ears up in there? You see that's what right there is what pushes up in there to unlock all of them at the same time. So now I've gone through and pulled the bolt out of here. We should have it loose to where it can come out. All right, now that I got the transmission slid back, I always like to slide it back. I usually like to stick it right there where that little provision is right here in the frame. I like this, or where the shifter is, not provision, but right here. Because there's a place here, and there's a place back there to put my ratchet strap underneath it to hold it. And I jack my jack up against the floor to hold it, keep it from twisting, because that thing will twist on you. So let's get this clutch out of here and check, see what happened to it. So, about guarantee you, it says right here, this gummy. I'm pretty sure there ain't nothing wrong with the clutch. All that was wrong with it is the pilot bushing. And what it was doing was catching enough drag to keep this thing spinning to where it would make it hard to go into gear at times. You see this kind of gluey like stuff right here, this grease. I guarantee that's what it is. But while we're in here, we're gonna replace the release bearing. Here it anyways. 2 10 millimeters, we'll replace it, and we'll replace the clutch on. So let me tear it down real quick. Here's one issue that's with it. See that right there? That takes force. That thing should just spring back up like that. See it? This ain't what it does. It's holding pressure. It's sticking. So that was one issue with it. Wasn't pilot bushing. It was just that slave cylinder. But we're gonna put a new pilot bushing in anyways. Let me get this out real quick. The actual clutch itself wasn't bad. Like I said, it wasn't burned up, hot spotted, hot rodded. All that stuff looks good. It really just was that slave cylinder right there sticking. That's what the whole issue was. I could probably hit it with the penetrating oil and would have fixed that. But we have a new clutch. Anyways, well, showed y'all how to take it apart. Rewind the video, put it in reverse, and I'll tell you how to put it back together. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you one later. Thank you. Y'all didn't think I was gonna do you like that, did you? There's the new flywheel. It matches up to being the same as that. We put Loctite on all our bolts. Anything that rotates, we put Loctite on. So I'm gonna take red Loctite, and all the flywheel bolts, I'm gonna go ahead and wet them up, put the flywheel up on it, and put them in. I got my pilot bearing end up in there. I knocked it in. It's greased up. Y'all have to watch out. These bolts right here, even though they look symmetrical, the one's always off. These are only go one way. So when you spin this flywheel around, there's only one direction. All these will line up. So before you start throwing all your bolts in thinking you're lucky, you might get 3 of them in and realize 3 of them's off. So make sure all your stuff's on point before you start putting all your bolts in it. Once you get in line, then you can hit it with air gun, tighten it up, or go by the torque specs. All right, now you take your spline tool and you grease it up. It comes with some grease to go on the splines. The thick side always goes out. You never flip that towards the motor. So this is the way your spline tool will go. I'll slide it in here on the clutch. I'll slide it in here on the flywheel like that. Now I'll stick the pressure plate up on it, and then I'll stick this all the way tight like this. And then I'll tighten up all my bolts. That way this is what aligns it. If this thing's off like that and you was to tighten it, then you'd have a hard time getting the transmission back in it. All right, I've tightened all my bolts around it. I always jump side to side. I don't go, like I said, there's torque specs for it. It's probably 25 or 30 pounds. If you look them up, they got a book on it to tell you what the torque specs are for all this. I just usually tighten it up. I've always had good luck out just doing my way. But like I said, pull the spline tool out now. That should be centered. So now let's stick the transmission back up in here, start going back together. But you got to hang this up out of the way, so that way it don't get pinched in the bell housing. Your wiring harness don't get caught up in there. So let me unhook my strap, slide my jack back forward, start putting this thing back together. All right, guys, stop messing around up there, Caden. All right, so the next thing we have to do, we have to go through and bleed this clutch out. I didn't realize that this was already open. So I had Caden up there pumping it as I was lifting it up, and it blowed the little cap loose right here and was spitting fluid out. But what we do is pump it, Caden. Keep pumping it. He'll pump it, and then I'll have him hold it on the floor, and then I take it like this, and I break it loose like that. Tighten it back up, pump it. And we keep doing that until all the air gets out of the line. You'll see when air's in the line, it'll kind of shoot out. So once all the air's out and he has a pedal that feels normal, then we'll try it. We'll crank it up, try it, and then that's how you bleed the clutch out. Like I said, he has to pump it, then hold it to the floor, and then we break it loose. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you one later. Thank you.